You ever meet someone so elegant, you suddenly forget how to act normal? You're halfway through a story about how you once cried in a Zara fitting room, and they're just sitting there, calm, still, not flinching, not oversharing, not trying to match your energy, and suddenly you feel like a Labrador in a room full of ballet dancers. It's not that they're rude, it's that they don't need to prove anything, and that, paradoxically, is what makes you nervous. Because here's the truth. No one says out loud, elegant people don't intimidate you by doing too much. They unsettle you by doing almost nothing. And in that stillness, you start noticing everything you've been doing to be liked. Let's talk about why elegant people make you nervous, and what it quietly reveals about you. Number 1. They're calm, and you're not used to that. Most people treat stillness like it's suspicious. If you're not rushing, apologizing, or refreshing your inbox while chewing, are you even trying? So when you meet someone truly elegant, someone who's calm, deliberate, and unhurried, it's deeply disorienting. I remember once being asked in a job interview if I was good at multitasking. I wanted to say, yes, I can breathe and talk, simultaneously. Sometimes even walk too, if the stars align. Because let's be honest, who actually wants to be on the receiving end of multitasking? Imagine a surgeon doing paperwork mid-operation, or a flight attendant texting while pointing at the exits, or a customer service rep folding towels during your refund call. But we're so conditioned to chaos that when someone isn't multitasking, when they're just present, it feels weird, like they're from a different era, or a better functioning nervous system. Elegant people move at the speed of intention, and when you're used to rushing, that can feel like standing next to someone who just exited a meditation retreat while you're still arguing with Siri. Number 2. They leave silences unfilled, and you start spiraling. Silence makes people twitchy. We've been trained to treat it like a malfunction, something you need to fix with noise, a chuckle, a totally, a weather update no one asked for. But elegant people, they let silence breathe like it's not suffocating anyone, because to them, it's not. They'll just sit there, not scrolling, not fidgeting, just calmly waiting for a thought worth saying. And you? You suddenly feel like a karaoke machine with a loose wire. I once found myself on a first coffee with someone like this. They were kind, attentive, but said very little, and when they did, it actually made sense. Meanwhile, I heard myself say things like, I'm not obsessed with oat milk, I just think almonds are a bit, morally complicated. Silence makes you narrate your personality like a desperate museum tour guide. This piece is from my sarcastic era. Very niche, please laugh. But the elegant person isn't uncomfortable. You are. Because when they don't rush to fill the air, you realize how much of your identity is built on performing comfort. And suddenly, that silence doesn't just feel empty, it feels like a spotlight. Number 3. They don't overshare, so your mouth keeps running. Picture this. You meet someone at a dinner party. They're warm, interested, but somehow unreadable. Meanwhile, you've told them about your childhood pet, your complicated relationship with dairy, and the time you accidentally Venmo'd your therapist twice and couldn't bring yourself to ask for it back, and they're just smiling. Not in a smug way, in a thank you for sharing way. You realize they haven't told you anything. No drama, no over-explanations, no tragic vacation stories, and now you feel weirdly exposed, like you emotionally streaked through the conversation while they were politely sipping wine in a turtleneck. It's not that they're closed off, it's that they don't confuse vulnerability with speed. They're not playing the, I'll tell you something embarrassing if you do first game. Elegant people share like novels, one chapter at a time, and only when they're sure you won't highlight it for future gossip. Let's keep going. Number 4. They notice more than you'd like. Elegant people have this unnerving way of noticing things without announcing them. Not in a dramatic side-eye sort of way. No, worse. They just see it and say nothing. They'll catch that you paused slightly before answering a question about your weekend. They'll notice that you smiled at everyone at the table, except one person. They'll quietly absorb the fact that you changed the subject when someone mentioned your job, and they'll do absolutely nothing with that information. No prying, no follow-up, no awkward "you okay?" Just a silent little data point, logged, understood, moved on, which is exactly why it gets under your skin. It's like being watched by someone who reads subtitles while you're still processing the opening credits, not because they're trying to outsmart you, just because they pay attention. I once had someone elegant look at me and ask, Was that exhausting? And I hadn't said anything. I'd just come back from a holiday where I very clearly needed a holiday. They read it on my face like it was printed. It wasn't invasive. It was accurate. And that's what makes it slightly terrifying. Because they don't catch you slipping in a scandalous way. They catch the small things you thought you'd hidden under a polite smile, and now you're wondering what else you've been broadcasting without realizing it. Number 5. Their boundaries are surgical. You offer them another glass. They say, "No, thank you." Not, "Oh, I shouldn't," or "Maybe just a splash," or "I'm being so boring tonight." Just, "No, thank you." Full stop. Smile. End of dialogue. Elegant people don't perform guilt for turning things down. They won't RSVP maybe, and then ghost. They won't stay out of politeness when they're done for the night, and they won't tell you they're so bad with phones when they don't want to text you. Their boundaries are not barbed wire. They're velvet ropes. You don't trip over them. You just respect them. And suddenly, you're wondering why your own boundaries feel like DIY scaffolding built out of apology and people-pleasing. Number 6. They don't try to impress you, which is wildly impressive. Elegant people have mastered what most of us never even attempt. Not trying. They don't casually mention the square footage of their flat. They don't offer stories that double as resume highlights. And they certainly don't give you a play-by-play of their productivity hacks unless you specifically ask. And even then, they'll probably decline. They're not aloof. They're just uninterested in auditioning. And that's disarming, because most social interactions are one long highlight reel. We're used to people peppering in interesting tidbits about themselves like they're seasoning a bland soup. I have a friend I've known for about 15 years. We met at work, bonded over travel, and we've kept in touch ever since, sending pictures from trips, sharing quirky hotel stories, occasionally meeting up if we're in the same city. But here's the strange part. I have no idea if he's married, or single, or has kids, or what his current job is. We've never discussed anything remotely personal, and somehow, that never felt odd until recently. Now I find myself thinking, how is that even possible? How have I known someone this long, without knowing the very things most people blurt out in the first 5 minutes? But that's the thing. He never steered the conversation to himself, never overshared, never tried to make his life sound fascinating. And ironically, that's exactly what made me pay attention. Because when someone doesn't try to impress you, you start wondering why they don't feel the need to, and that question lingers. So why do elegant people make you nervous? Because they make you aware of the noise you didn't know you were making, the over-talking, the performative charm, the frantic need to connect, now. They remind you of stillness, of discernment, of a kind of quiet power that doesn't require validation. And when you're not used to that, it feels like being caught in your own reflection. Not because they're judging you, but because you suddenly see what you've been doing to be liked, and maybe you realize you don't need to do it anymore. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever met someone so elegant it made you instantly self-conscious? What happened? Before you go, subscribe, and check my Amazon storefront for the elegant living and beauty essentials that whisper, not scream. As always, stay classy. Manners matters.